Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Today we're leaving the Earth behind and stepping into the green hell of the 1960s. In the heat of the Vietnam War, the CIA realized that conventional warfare was a losing game. They needed a blade that could cut through the North Vietnamese leadership without leaving a fingerprint. They called it Operation Cherry. It wasn't a military operation. It was an agency special. Wink, wink. While the Phoenix program was making headlines, Cherry was operating in the deep black shadows, targeting high-ranking officials with a cold surgical precision that would make a ghost jealous. Operation Cherry was built around small elite units, often just a handful of men, who lived in the jungle for months. The program utilized specialized units from the SOG Studies and Observation Group, but they answered directly to CIA handlers. Their primary directive was neutralization of the VC infrastructure. A quote from a declassified SOG field manual: personnel assigned to these high-risk missions must understand that in the event of capture or death, the United States government will deny any knowledge of their activities or existence, end quote. Cherry snipers were equipped with the experimental suppressed weapons like the XM21 and were often dropped into denied areas in Cambodia and Laos where the U.S. was officially not supposed to be. The program was funded through black currency, untraceable gold bars, and non-attributable foreign cash to ensure that no paper trail led back to Langley. A quote from a former CIA operative, John Mullins: Cherry was about taking out the brain of the enemy. You didn't kill the soldier in the trench, you killed the man who told him to be there, and you did it so quietly that the man next to him didn't even hear the bolt cycle, end quote. One of the most successful tools of Operation Cherry was the use of Project Eldest Son, spiking enemy ammunition crates with exploding rounds that would destroy the enemy's rifles and morale simultaneously. The CIA utilized indigenous scouts, specifically the Montagnard. I may be pronouncing that wrong. It's Montagnard, which I believe is Montagnard tribespeople, who were trained by agency specialists to track targets through terrain that was considered impassable by Western standards. The codename Cherry was chosen because the targets were often picked one by one from a list generated by agency analysts using early computerized data matching. Operation Cherry teams often carried suicide pills or LSD to induce a state of confusion if captured, preventing the North Vietnamese from extracting actionable intelligence through torture. Declassified logs from 1967 show that Cherry teams were responsible for the disappearance of over 200 high-level political commissars in a single 6-month window. The program was so secretive that even the U.S. Military Assistant Command, Vietnam, was frequently kept in the dark about Cherry strikes to prevent leakage to the South Vietnamese government. Cherry snipers practiced long-duration surveillance, sometimes sitting in a single hide for up to 72 hours without moving, using specialized chemical supplements to stay awake and alert. The agency developed a micro-dart system for Cherry operatives, small poison-tipped needles that could be fired from a modified umbrella or pen, though most field work was done with high-caliber precision rifles. One declassified memo suggests that the CIA considered using trained animals to deliver explosives into VC bunkers under the Cherry umbrella, though the hunter-killer human teams proved more reliable. When the program was officially terminated in 1971, operatives were ordered to burn their field books. Any man who kept a record of a Cherry mission was threatened with life imprisonment for treason. The sniper in the shadows legend grew so large that the North Vietnamese eventually offered a bounty of $30,000, a fortune at the time, for the head of any operative confirmed to be part of the ghost teams. Operation Cherry utilized the ANPVS-2 Starlight scope, which weighed nearly 6 pounds and used ambient starlight to amplify images, allowing snipers to see targets in near total darkness without an infrared beam that could be detected. The CIA's Special Operations Group maintained a fleet of unmarked Air America helicopters to insert Cherry teams, often painting them with washable, charcoal-colored paint to mask their silhouette against the night sky. A quote from a Declassified after-action report: subject reached the extraction point at 400 hours. Mission confirmed. Target removed with zero collateral signature. Indigenous support was essential for terrain navigation, end quote. To maintain plausible deniability, Cherry snipers were frequently issued sterile clothing, meaning no labels, no laundry marks, and no American-made buttons, sourced from European or Asian civilian markets. The agency's Technical Services Division developed a specialized silent crossbow for Cherry operatives to use in ultra-short-range sentry removal, where even a suppressed rifle was considered too loud. If you look at the 1973 Internal Review of Irregular Activities in Southeast Asia, the sections on Operation Cherry are almost entirely black. The heaviest redactions occur in the target selection criteria. Speculation by historians is that these bars hide the names of American double agents or even U.S. military officers who were deemed security risk and were liquidated. Further speculation surrounds the sanitization protocols. Conspiracy theorists believe the redacted text describes how the CIA used napalm to erase entire villages if a Cherry mission was compromised, leaving no witnesses behind. There is a persistent theory that the redactions hide cross-border strikes in China. Strictly speculation, but some believe the CIA authorized Cherry teams to assassinate Chinese military advisors on Chinese soil, which would have been an act of war. Some speculate the redactions hide the payment in narcotics. The theory holds that the Cherry operatives were paid with refined heroin to buy the loyalty of local warlords, and the black bars hide the CIA's direct involvement in the Golden Triangle drug trade. Conspiracy theorists often point to the aftermath section. The speculation is that the redactions here hide a cleansing operation where the CIA assassinated its own indigenous scouts after the war to prevent them from talking to the press. Finally, there is speculation that the ghost teams weren't just killing people. Some believe Cherry was tasked with recovering unidentified craft that crashed in the jungle, and the snipers were there to make sure no one else, friend or foe, ever saw the debris. There is significant speculation that the redacted files hide a false flag assassination of a high-ranking South Vietnamese official orchestrated to look like a Viet Cong hit in order to manipulate U.S. public opinion. A common conspiracy theory suggests that the Cherry files hide the use of psychotropic gases in target zones to make the enemy soldiers kill each other before the sniper team ever fired a shot. Some researchers speculate that the black bars hide the identity of a sleeper assassin who is currently holding a high-ranking position in the U.S. government, a former Cherry operative whose past is literally blacked out of history. There's a theory that the redactions hide the ghost frequency test, where the CIA used massive speakers to broadcast hellish sounds in the jungle to drive the enemy out into the open for the Cherry snipers. Finally, some speculate that the Disavowed Blade is still active. The theory is that Operation Cherry was simply renamed and moved to a different continent, and the redacted files contain the legacy transfer instructions. There is dark speculation that the Cherry redactions cover the experimentation with acoustic assassination using high-intensity sound waves to cause internal organ failure in targets, leaving the body appearing as if the victim died of natural causes. Some theorists speculate that the black bars hide the use of chemical markers sprayed on targets from the air, which would then glow under a specific frequency of ultraviolet light, making them easy targets for snipers even in the thickest fog. A persistent conspiracy theory holds that the redactions hide the Operation Whiteout, where Cherry snipers were tasked with eliminating U.S. defectors who had joined the Viet Cong to prevent them from becoming propaganda tools for the North. There's speculation that the Cherry files hide the recovery of a Soviet mind control device from a downed transport, and the snipers were actually protecting the tech until it could be airlifted out by the agency. Finally, some speculate that the redactions hide a post-hypnotic trigger used on the snipers themselves, ensuring that once they returned to the US, they would have no conscious memory of the specific targets they neutralized. Was Operation Cherry a success? In the short term, yes. It decapacitated the local VC leadership and sowed a level of paranoia in the North Vietnamese ranks that halted several major offensives. But in the long term, it was a moral and political failure. The disavowal of the operatives led to a massive loss of trust within the agency, and the eventual exposure of these hit squads led to the Church Committee hearings that stripped the CIA of much of its power in the 1970s. The disavowed blade might be hidden, but its tech lives on, as far as operational breakthroughs are considered. Suppressed ballistics. The need for silent kills led to the development of the high-performance subsonic ammunition used by modern special forces. Low-light optics. Cherry was one of the first programs to field test starlight night vision scopes, allowing snipers to own the night. Deny and survive training. The agency developed the SERE, Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape protocols based on the harrowing experiences of Cherry teams. And lastly, computerized target analysis. The death list of Cherry were the direct ancestor of the high-value target algorithms used in modern drone warfare. Operation Cherry is a reminder that in the shadow of war, the rules disappear. The agency created a ghost to fight a ghost, and in the end, they tried to bury the evidence in a mountain of black ink. Thanks for listening. Next time we examine Operation Washtub. In 1954, the CIA decided that a government they didn't like needed to go, but they didn't use an army. They used a discovery. We'll look at the secret mission to plant Soviet weapon caches in Nicaragua to frame the government and trigger a coup. It's the ultimate lesson in how to fake it till you make it in the world of regime change. Join us for the laundry list. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.